Hey guys, what's down? And I am legally required by religion to give my younger cousin a Christmas present. And what better to give him than Lego? Not only is it not socks, but he'll never see it coming. Okay, maybe he will. I have a history with Lego on this channel. This channel used to be a bunch of stop motion and other quality content that involved Legos.
Jordan?
However, you won't be able to find them because I privated them. I mean, they never existed. If you're wondering why I chose Legos, I don't know, why are they called apartments if they're so close to each other? You can't have all the answers. And for this video, I'm going to be talking about anything Lego related. Like the toys, the TV shows, the games, pretty much anything. Anyway, without further ado, let's Lego. Now, in my opinion, which is clearly a fact, Lego is probably the most popular toy of all time. It's probably the best thing you could get for Christmas. Like I said at the beginning of the video, when you shook your present and heard Lego sounds, you made it in life. It's either that or a video game, because no one actually plays with toys unless they're Legos. Anyway, the history of Lego is actually quite interesting. They started out like Nintendo of all things, making toys, regular toys, not Legos. In fact, the name Lego came before they even made Legos, which is weird to think about. The name Lego derives from Danish, the legot, which means play well, which apparently also meant in Italian, I put together, which they act like was sometimes intentional. Like, my name is SG12. In English, it means SG12, and in sign language, it means toaster. But you know, after a while, the Lego company would of course end up making actual Legos. Isn't that crazy? Sure, there wasn't that much molded pieces yet, but I mean, it's better than nothing. And also, the name Lego is probably better than something like Brick Tricks or Rock the Blocks. Over time, they started to add new things, like tubes inside the bricks, so you can finally lift your creation. What? And who can forget the ever so popular Lego figures? And these things are probably more valuable than the actual bricks themselves. They're also harder to get, because if you want a certain Lego figure, you have to buy a set. And I wanted a J Lego figure, but I have to buy a giant set that costs like $100 and I'd be in debt. Now sure, you can buy the keychain version, which will have a keychain in it, but then again, that'd probably be better than being in debt. The Lego figures also started out like a creepypasta with these weird smiley faces. Somebody burn it with fire. At some point, Lego got the good idea to start licensing things. Now, Lego made original sets themselves, like Lego City, you know, a man has fallen into the river in Lego City. Hey! Or the castle sets, space sets, pirate sets, which all made a pretty good game that I'll talk about later. But at some point, Lego decided that they start doing licensing, which is quite clever if you ask me. So for example, when they started licensing Harry Potter, not only did they get their normal Lego fans, but they also attracted Harry Potter fans, thus making these Lego sets much more popular. But sadly, they couldn't get all the licensing, because then there's these things called rip-off companies that steal the idea of Legos. Like this one company named Mega Bloks that stole the licensing of SpongeBob. Plus, Mega Bloks' Lego bricks are very bad, and they don't even click together smoothly. They're mega trash. Legos feel good to put together. They feel good to play with most of the time. I mean, like, let me just play this video real quick. What's up, guys? And today we're going to be talking about the 3 annoying things that only Lego fans can relate to. Number 3, pain. Number 2, pain. Honorable mention, being in debt. And number 1, pain. Oh my God! And yes, that last thing was canon. That's basically where Lego would get its stepping stone. Now, I'm sick of talking about the toys and the history and the toys. Now I'm going to start talking about the things I really care about. That's right, the video game. Now earlier I was talking about a game that the castle, space, and pirates would all come together to make an amazing game. This game was known as Lego Battles. There was also a Ninjago game that had the same exact gameplay, so we'll talk about that too. I'll talk about the one that's better in quality in my opinion. Lego Battles is a game for the DS. Now, apparently the game started out as just Castle in Space and had a different kind of game that eventually got canceled and would just become Lego Battles. I'm gonna be real, I have zero clue if that's a good or a bad thing. But the game is pretty good in my opinion. It's a tower defense game kind of deal. Honestly, works well for Legos. You build a bunch of famous Lego sets from those series and use them in a story. There are about 6 stories, each being unique from another. 3 of them happen to be part in the same world, because 3 of them have 3 of their enemies be part of them. So there's technically 6, but 3 of them happen to be taking place in the same story, kind of deal. The game's gameplay is quite simple. You have to build stuff with these builders, who can build stuff like a castle. The castle is your most important thing out of all your buildings, as it can recreate your leader and builders. Your leader is the most important. Not only can he heal your builders just by being near them, but he has extra abilities and I think extra health that your other characters won't have. The only way he can get healed is by being near the castle. And if he dies, you have to rebuild him from the castle. So clearly the castle is the most important. Your builders will get you supply. Just like in normal tower defense games, usually from something like trees. Once having enough, you can build other things, like a farm. Farms let you have more stuff to put down. Or you can place down more of these buildings that act like a castle, because the builders have to go all the way to the castle in order for it to get you the supplies. So if you build down these other buildings, they don't have to go as far. Or you can build down mines in specific spots that allow you to generate more construction. The game gets really fun in a while. It's fun to just build stuff and get giant enemies. Like, you can literally build dinosaurs in these... Wait. Like, you can literally start generating dragons. I mean, they cost a lot, but it's fun. Not only that, but each level has their own kind of mission that goes into the story. Each story is unique. For example, the castle, on the castle side of the Knights story are basically just to stop the skeletons. While the skeleton stories, their leader, the wizard, is trying to find pieces for his wand that allow him to get his loved one back. The pirates are trying to steal some gold. The musketeers hate the pirates. The space are stranded on a planet and have to find stuff to regenerate their rocket, and that stuff happens to be from the aliens who hate them. The leaders usually be stuff like the king, the wizard, the captain. Those are basically the leaders. But what's interesting is that there can be other leaders. For example, when you beat the game, you get like a female version, usually their love interest. Unless you're playing space, because the leader's already a female, so it's a male instead. In each story, they all have their own allies, which is kind of interesting. For example, the knights have Vikings who help them, the skeletons have trolls who help them, the musketeers have ninjas who help them, and the space have robots that help them. After editing, I just realized I got like a lot of the names wrong. I called the navies musketeers for some reason. I called the dwarfs Vikings, and I called the cops from space robots. It's actually very cool. And you can unlock these characters to play them in the free play. And the free play is very fun to play as you can make your own kind of team. You don't have to be limited to what the story had you play. So you can have a team of ninjas with the captain being a pirate captain and the builders being from space or something. It can be very fun. The only problem is the game gets very hard. Like, for a Lego game, this is quite the challenge. These missions can get tough. I really hated this one mission where you had to get the king to safety by getting him all the way to a certain place. Except the problem is you're not allowed to build a castle, and like I said earlier, the castle is the only way to heal the king, which means you have to make sure he doesn't die. Because if he dies, you lose the mission, you gotta start all over. This is annoying.
Bruh, look at this dude.
I gotta get out of here!
Bro, what are you doing? Turn that faster.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the man? Get your own way.
But I don't know, this is a pretty good game, and I suggest you play it. Alright. Then there's the Ninjago version. I don't know, man. This version isn't as good. There's a lot less stuff to see about here. Weirdly enough, this is actually the first Ninjago game. Yeah, the first Ninjago game is a tower defense game. Oh man, I can't wait to play the first Ninjago game. I wonder if it's like how I imagined it would be. Yep, exactly how I imagined it. There's a lot less stuff here. For example, there aren't actually a leader anymore. In fact, almost all the characters have special abilities now. Except for the builders. The builders are still here. But instead of mining trees, they just mine these random yellow Lego mines or something. I don't know. Honestly, there isn't even a castle because the castle only builds builders, so who honestly cares? There's also only 2 stories. One for the normal ninjas and one for the skeletons. Yeah, the skeletons are still bad guys. Anytime you have skeletons, Lego makes them the bad guys. This all takes place in the Ninjago pilot. Now if you haven't watched Ninjago before, this probably doesn't make any sense. Also, each of your characters that aren't the builders have 3 phases, and the more you level them up, the more powerful they get and the more ability. For example, on the first phase they have like 0 abilities. But then you can level them up to 2 other phases. Sometimes they even have people who follow them. There are like way less characters in these stories. All you have are the regular ninjas, villagers I guess, the skeletons, and these weird monsters that scream. But if it wasn't for the unlockable characters, which are a lot by the way, like some of them are even from Lego Battles, the free play mode would be boring. Heck, you can even play as Santa Claus, which is a thing from Lego Battles as well. You can play as Santa Claus, you just have to play the game on Christmas. But I have a pro gamer guide to getting Santa Claus very easily. So basically you want to take your DS and go, this camera sucks, go to settings. Yeah, and then you want to go to the date and you want to change the date to December, so like 12, make sure it's 1987. Oh wait, this is going backwards. And I actually literally forgot what day it was, and boom, there you go. You should get Santa Claus. Also, I couldn't 100% the game because I could never get Santa because I never bothered to play the game on Christmas. All it said was play the game on a special day, and it looked like it was Santa, so I just, I don't even know why this special character is Santa. Why is that even a thing? She's a nurse. Wait, but why is she a nurse? Never in the show was she a nurse, or I guess this is the pilot because it's only the pilot, but still. I mean, this game is fine. It's good enough. I like the free play a lot. I like how there's a survival mode. Lego Battles did not have that, if I recall. I just really like Ninjago. Oh, and speaking of Ninjago, I know it's a show, but I won't be talking about it in this video. I think I'll be saving Ninjago, the show, for a later video, because I really like that show. Anyway, that's all the games I want to talk about.
Hey, if you're gonna talk about Lego games, you better talk about my favorite.
Oh, what is that?
Lego Racers. Lego Racers was a game released in 1999 for the Nintendo 64, PlayStation, PC, and Game Boy. But that one kinda sucks. I grew up on the PC build of the game, as the only computer I had at the time was a Windows XP. The game's focal point was the ability to create your own racer and car to drive on. And going through diverse landscapes, such as deserted islands, kingdoms, and most importantly, space. And just like Mario Kart, you're able to use special items to your advantage. They work differently though, as you have to collect white 1x2s to increase the power of your item. And you also get to choose what item you get. Like, red ones are offensive items that you can throw at people, yellow items are hazards that you can put on the track, blue items are shields that you can use to defend yourself, and green items, the best ones, are used to gain some speed and catch up to your opponents. And it also holds the best item in the game, the wormhole, which allows you to skip a portion of the track. I feel this game can be enjoyed by all, as it can be quite unforgiving at some points. So I suggest giving it a try if you have a Windows XP system like myself.
Oh really? That's cool, but like, did I ask?
No, but I'm sure this guy did. And I'm pointing at the camera. You're welcome. Don't put that in.
You know, I should start locking my front door. That's the second video, all about Legos. It might be a while before we get our third video, so you might have to wait a while for that. But you know, after talking about all this Legos, I'm gonna keep this.